talking to you.
I want to hear your intro. I want to hear you do this.
Oh, it's freestyle all the time.
Nice, loose.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Root Zone podcast. I am here with my friend, Mr. John Perry. We're at the Greene County Fertilizer headquarters here in Greene County,
Greensboro, beautiful Greensboro, Georgia. A friend is a little bit of a strong term. You really think you like me that much?
No, I mean you're a sales guy, so you have to like me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I thought it was reciprocal, but I guess not.
Well, I mean, now that we've established this, I just want to know where our relationship is going.
Well, I got you on the podcast. So
all right,
let's see how far it goes.
It's good to be here with a good friend.
Thank you. Well, let's see. Where do we start?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Let's start with who you are.
Sure.
Because this is not just a podcast for green industry guys, but a majority of our listeners are green industry guys, so they'd like to know who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. So, I am the founder of Greene County Fertilizer Company. I've been in the green industry most of my life. I mean, really 2/3 of it by now at this point. I've been in the fertilizer manufacturing side for right about 20 years. Development side, ran my own lawn care company for a while. Had a company called Greene that we ended up licensing out around the country. Had about 80 or so locations for those. And then just mainly focused on the manufacturing and expansion of that evolved into Greene County Fertilizer Company. And now we're selling material to 1,000, 1,500 lawn care companies around the country right now.
Got you. So the question is, how did it, this has always been a question for me. So you started in the green industry and you say lawn care, but let's just be clear, lawn care is not mowing lawns. Did you start mowing lawns?
Mowing.
You never did any mowing, right?
No.
So that wasn't,
you
weren't a typical, hey, this is how I started.
No.
My mom drove me around.
No, I did make money mowing lawns from the age of about 13 to 15. I had 3 of them. I wasn't planning on doing a business. It was just to get an extra $60 or $70 a week, So that was not my goal. I went to work for a nursery and did landscaping, and even took it all the way up to the design portion of that before I started my business. So I've been in it from design and install, hardscapes. I mean, you name it. Irrigation. I've done every single part of the green side.
And then you started Greene.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Greene stemmed from you saw someone spraying a lawn, and you're like, I can do that, and that's going to be more profitable? Or is that where did you go? My mom was in the nursery world so I used to spend my summers at nurseries, mm-hmm. and that's where I think I get my green thumb from. But I never jumped right to spraying lawns. So.
No, I would say I didn't jump right to spraying lawns either. I had a business injecting water absorbing polymers into the soil, and that's like one-time sales every 5 to 7 years. And so I needed to create something with recurring revenue that really worked. You would sell once and keep, right? Like that's the value. And so I already felt like for some reason I had kind of a tree reputation around town. I was actually on a show on whatever that network is, the home network. It was called While You Were Out. It was a show that used to be on. Okay,
we can Google it later.
Yeah, and I'd love to find the clips. But anyway, they did some remodeling of a couple of places. I ended up on this show because I was bringing trees over and putting them there, and it's just like, hey, it's the tree guy, right? And so and then I did a couple other shows with them like later, and then it was just like, okay, so now I'm tree guy. I'm taking care of these sick trees and bringing them back to life, whatever. And I was like, okay, we can get into the lawn side, start spraying something and getting on a regular schedule. And it just evolved. It just kind of took off. Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I don't know, that's not a very typical story.
It's a little out of the box.
Yeah, it's not like, I answered a Craigslist ad, or my dad was a landscaper, and
my mom was a landscaper.
So
even when I was a baby, right? Like she did that, but it was like a hobby for her. She made money at it, but she was she had one of those cool little Isuzu steak trucks, 1982, 83 things. She'd throw me and my sister in that and drag us around, and she'd go mulch beds and plant flowers and stuff. So it was always a part of it, but it wasn't like it was a driving force for me. However, I said this over this past weekend at the event. I never wanted to be in an office. So it's kind of ironic that we're sitting in my office.
This cubicle.
But it's not my office. It's somebody else's office in my company. I don't know whose office this is. Yeah. Somebody in the building. I don't know.
Somebody works here.
There's 2 screens over there.
I saw
Clearly
cars
somebody
in the
works
parking
here.
lot. So people are working.
There's a number of employees here, and they all have some sort of workspace.
So go through BioGreene. You blew that up, right? Mm-hmm. Then you start franchising. Per se, franchising, is that
licensing?
What is that? Licensing.
So we never charged for it, for the name. We just said, all right, here's the business model. I gave them a big book full of everything, operations manual that I'd written, and they just bought product from me. That's how that worked. It was like you jump in and you're buying the BioGreene juice and you're going and putting it out and growing your business. And that was like coming into the Great Recession. That was like coming into that time. Yeah. So a lot of guys who started in with me were from real estate, like they're like, oh, now I don't have a job, or from construction, and now I don't have a job. I'm like, well, I guess I'll go spray some lawns. Like nobody was a grass guy. There was just various people who were, trashed by the economy crashing. One guy was an RV dealer who came on with us. Like it was all a DJ who started one.
Did you go out and sell it then?
It got a very bizarre, like organic growth, like very, very odd. I had my location in Reno. I had another one up in Tahoe. I had one that was about 65 miles away. That one's still running today, 20 some odd years later. And then I think I talked to like one of my friends somewhere. They were trying to figure out what to do. I was like, just take the name and start running it, in Utah. Try that out. Like, okay. And then one of the guys I was working in Florida, so a guy contacted me out of the blue from the website, and he's like, oh, you do this thing with like fertigation. I saw the name of the company. I was like, no, that's not me. That company went out of business a long time ago. We have this name, trademarked, whatever. And he's like, okay. And he's like, oh, I used to be in the franchise industry doing restaurants. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, he was like, I don't want anything to do with it. And he hung up the phone. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then the next day he calls back. He's like, I was thinking about everything you said. I'd like to fly out there with my business partner and take a look at what you're doing. I'm like, oh, okay. Come check it out. He flies from Florida. And I show him what I'm doing. I have a business that's humming. It's very busy. We've grown like crazy. Take him to my office, and like, we have rows of these like huge filing cabinets. Everything was on paper.
Everything was
on paper. And one of the guys like, well, I'm just going to dip in here and see what this revenue looks like. And he just goes, picks a couple at random. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, you picked a good one. That was an HOA, so that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we need to do this. So they fly back to Florida and call me like, yeah, we want to do this, and then set up one of them and be like a distributor, kind of master distributor licensee. I said, okay, that's great. They were fairly connected, like not like weird connections. And they ended up contacting a guy who I don't even know how they knew it, but he was on TV. He had a hunting show. And they told him about it. He's like, yeah, I want to get involved in that too. That sounds like something. And he flew out to Reno and said, let's shoot a commercial or something. Like interviewed me out there on the lawn and whatever. It was like 2008, 2009. And that hits like Outdoor Network and all of these other like hunting shows and stuff. And another dude in Florida who's like out, like lost everything in the recession, who's spraying lawns again, sees it. And all of a sudden my phone's just lit up. I'm like, what is going on? And there's people, I want to find out about how to do this. It's like ding, ding, ding. And we like conquered Florida fast.
Yeah.
And then it just kept spreading. It was all over the place.
Why? So if that was so successful, then why the hell did you... let's buy a plant. I know you were producing the material already.
It was,
but as a business, did you see that as being more profitable or less work? There's got to be a reason. You could have just kept all those licenses and just kept growing that.
Sort of. Okay, so I would say there's a number of reasons why things like that don't really work out the way that you think they're going to. Okay, a multitude of reasons.
Because people are involved?
Because people are involved. And we have no control over it, right? Like, we really don't. At the end of the day, yeah, they've got my name. I'll be like, well, you can't use it anymore. They're like, no, I mean, I kind of can.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, whatever. But we didn't really have like problem childs out there. That wasn't really the issue. The issue was that a lot of these guys they came from other industries and they were in it only as long as they needed to be until they could get back into what they came from. So it was almost like a
Side hustle.
stopover. Yeah. And some of them did really, really well. Some of them, it was literally just to, keep food on the table for a little while. So there was no intent to growing these monster businesses. It just wasn't there. And we had a few of them that had some pretty good success, and we still have a few out there, but we don't promote it as a licensure anymore. It's just not something we've done for a long time. If somebody wanted to do it, we still can, but it's not. I think the name was kind of washed out. Moreover, I don't think it's great. I think it fit for the time when I was doing it, and I don't really know that it does. And I hope
It's
some
just
of my
like
BioGreen
organic.
guys don't think that right now, but they love their name and they're unique now because they're not all over the place.
Yeah.
And they do stand out, but it's
But BioGreen, I mean,
Yeah.
you're true.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But back then, you got to think like coming out of like late 90s, early 2000s, were there really a lot of crazy inventive names and all of this stuff?
No.
I mean, we do business, like I said, I don't know, 1,000, 15, or whatever, how many customers. It's either lawn something or green something
Well, like
or
you were
grass something.
you were talking about yesterday, it's also the buzzword. So
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that decade was,
It was bio.
it was bio or organic.
Yeah.
And that's it's just a word
And
play at this point.
And that's like people were trying to sell it, like, oh yeah, we've got this organic fertilizer. I'm like, it's not organic fertilizer. I mean, even Rod, he still refers to us in this way. I'm like, we've never said that we were an organic fertilizer, but he's like, yeah, they got an organic fertilizer coming. I was like, no.
Well, isn't there like a definition of organic? There can't be a trash can within like 1.2 miles of anything grown. It's
know.
like there's all to be certified organic.
So we actually had some products certified organic at one point. We took them through Oregon Tilth, and we did some I think it was. I don't know if it was Wisconsin Department of Ag. I don't know. We did. We got a couple of certifications on some stuff, but it doesn't do anything. I mean, I know there's people out there that love organic stuff. You know what? Keep it to the vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Like that's great. But if you're like going for like biodiversity and you want to have a weed field in your front lawn, that's fine too.
Yeah.
You're not buying my stuff. It's
Yeah.
like you can just like flush your toilet and let it go.
Well,
out
it's
there.
it's always one or extreme or another. One of the previous podcasts, I had some beekeepers on, and it was a really like healthy debate about it. And
sure.
And we were just talking about. I think I looked up a stat as like clover fields. Like, we're killing all the clover in our industry. And I said, well, if I plant one flowering tree in my beautiful yard, that's enough pollination for like 3 acres of clover.
Yeah.
And it's like, so there is a happy medium of
course
like
there is.
the words, but like I said, it's all it's just buzz. What can sell? Fear, you can.
Yeah.
That's just all.
Well, and you're right. I think that's a wonderful way to put that, because just think about the surface area, right? Like if you had 1,000 square foot patch of clover in the front and you had a mature tree that was like that they could pollinate, has way more footage and area.
It's not even close.
Plus, you got a killer carbon sink, and you still have this grass that can look awesome. And who cares? The bees can go up high, and you can stay down low and get out of their way.
Well, I think a revelation that Kara had in that. We did another podcast with them, but she was asking me about herbicides, and I said, yeah, we use this selective herbicide. She's like,
What does that mean?
what do you mean selective?
Yeah.
And I said, we have stuff that only kills or controls certain things. It's
Right.
And I was trying, I think in her brain, she was thinking everything we spray is Roundup.
That's what most, I would say, well, I'm not going to say uneducated, because that's not, I don't think that really applies, but I'm going to say that most people equate anything that's being sprayed out of a gun as Roundup.
Yeah.
That's Roundup.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know what, it's like Coke. When I was a kid, where you walked into a place and said, I want a Coke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we don't have
Coke?
Coke.
Oh,
What did you think?
Oh, I thought it was like a fun Friday. Never mind. Okay, go ahead with your story. Sorry.
Now you know what I'm talking about. Fun Friday night as a kid.
So when you wanted a Coke as a kid.
Yeah, you just say a Coke, and like, oh, we don't have Coke, we have Pepsi. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a Coke. Give me a Coke. And now there's like that thing, like there's a joke about how now everybody's going to just call red wine Justin. Like now it's a Justin. That's what it's like. It's like weed killers Roundup.
Yeah.
A Kleenex is a Kleenex.
Yeah, tissue.
It's not a tissue.
not
It's a Kleenex, man. It's a
And
brand.
and Clorox.
Yeah, right. So it's cool. Like, can you imagine, like, you just come up with something one day, right? Like a Q-tip, right? What is that really called? It's an ear nail? No, I don't know.
You're not even supposed to use them in your ears.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, like, don't put it in there.
They're
Put it
not-
around the outside.
Yeah,
Like, what are you talking about? Have you looked at my ear? So, no, but you just one day you're like, look, I came up with this thing, and now everything is called that?
Called that, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a pretty good invention right
You
there.
know, like, I dream of that.
Yeah.
That'd be just like, oh, no, this is a whatever. I'm not going to say a word, because if it happens, I'm not going to keep it to myself.
Yeah. So you didn't finish, though. So you went
I
from
gotta keep going.
Greene.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, I'm having success with creating these products, and
Sure.
and I'm sure you had a passion once you kind of dived into that. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is actually kind of fun. I like
It
this.
was really fun. And so in the beginning on the BioGreen side, there were 3 or 4 products. That's really all there was. It was like a product we called 20 Plus, which was a 20% nitrogen, had some iron in it, had just a couple things. It was like a kind of a staple, standard fertilizer, right? And then we had a 501 material that was used on golf courses for greens and tees, selling a lot into golf at the time. Another one that was like a general purpose tree shrub. It could be used for anything, like vegetable gardens, whatever. It was one of those. And then we had like another little couple things we added in there. Well, what became an issue is the only way that you could get these products is if you became a licensee. That was the deal.
Okay.
And sell to the public. Okay. Although, I should back up. We did actually sell on Amazon right when they opened their lawn and garden thing way back in the beginning. It was wasted. I said I'd never put anything in a gallon jug ever again. It was just a waste of time, right? I think we made like 10 cents a pallet. So it was just a joke, right? So we do this. It's like we can't do it another way. So it's like, here we're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna call it Greene County. It's a private labeled product company. You've hit certain thresholds, we'll label stuff up for you, and it's your product. That was the whole idea. And then something happened. And then it was everywhere.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. And I'm like, oh man, the brandless company, one that was intended to be brandless. My branded company is not doing what it's supposed to do, and the brandless one is taking off and has a bigger brand.
And lapping the other one.
And so the kid became the parent,
Yeah.
and sucked up the other one, and then here we are. Like a decade or so later, it's just like.
Well, I've been doing this. I've been 14 years now, and I just remember working for Scott's, and there, what we understood about fertilizers was just this white pelletized material.
Yeah, right.
We didn't know what was in it, or it was yellow in the beginning of the year, so, and then like, oh, we got the yellow stuff.
Yeah, so it must be springtime.
Must be. So what made you like when I look at your line of fertilizers, you kind of you pulled out these certain things and offer them in a different capacity.
Correct.
You've gone from 3 products to now offering
I don't know, maybe 20.
20.
Yeah, something like
Is there an end, or is it just an evolving door of, hey, this stuff, this is what I found, or is it going to come? I mean, we talk about herbicides. You do 1% different. You can always come up with a new product. But
Sure.
have you found yourself saying, I don't know, what's next? Thank you so much for listening to the Root Zone podcast. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. We're a little bit off track with our schedule, releasing every other Tuesday, but that is the way it is here in the spring. The spring has sprung here in the Northeast, and we're just a little busy over here at Stout Lawn and Pest. So once again, here's our sponsors, and thanks so much for listening.
Hello, this is Brian and Stephanie, owners of Tick and Skeeter Deleter. Are you providing a tick and mosquito control service?
We formulated a product to target today's environmentally conscious market.
Tick and Skeeter Deleter is your ultimate 25B exempt pesticide.
This product controls on contact while acting as a repellent.
With these all-natural essential oils, you will leave behind an aroma even the neighbors will enjoy.
Elevate your business with Tick and Skeeter Deleter.
Use discount code ROOTZONE for a 5% discount on product at yardcomfort.com. Thank you for listening to the Root Zone podcast.
So I can divide it into 2 very different categories, though. So for me, fertilizer is just rates. That's really all it is.
Nitrogen.
Okay. Yeah, it's just rates.
Yeah.
So, I could have a 28%, a 26, a 24, a 22, a 20, a 19. I could do all of these different things. But if somebody says, boy, I really wish I could get this 18% from you. Like, why?
Yeah.
Just take this and put it at half the rate, right? Like, why don't you just change your rate? Oh, I could do that. It's like the flexibility is way, way better in a liquid than it is in granular, right? Because everybody's trying to run with their spreader setting on 5.
When
and
was
never
that change?
it.
What year was that? Because there has been a definite shift from being a granular to how many all liquid units are
You
in
mean
the country.
across the board?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably around 2007 when people really started picking up using liquid instead.
You know what? It evolved because originally, like, Pro Lawn Care was liquid. Like, that was what was cool, right?
Yeah.
When Kim Lawn and True Green and Barefoot, these guys, they did some granular apps, but what they were trying to do is show up with this big freaking truck and a hose and a guy in rubber boots and like, you don't want to do this, Stan. This is for us to do. Like, pay us. And now $1.4 billion company, right?
Yeah.
They set themselves apart from anybody can push a spreader to something else. Well, okay. So let's say that's how it went. Well, lawns, bigger sizes, bigger difference, call for different things, right? So there was a call for still doing spreaders. Well, then all the power spreaders, right? So you got these big, and those things just keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
They're not getting smaller.
Or lighter.
Yeah, no, they're just bigger. It's like farming at this point. You're like, oh, that's a pretty cool tractor. Like, that thing farmed all 1,000 acres 100 years ago, and now they just get run over by its new cousin to do the same land. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, so there's an evolution, because then it was like, well, you're back to the perception of it's just a dude out there with a spreader. Now you give him a piece of equipment to ride on. Now he's a specialist.
He's a pro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of that. Now, the beauty of this, I believe, is, I mean, I don't think it matters, right? I don't think it matters. If you want to be liquid, you be liquid. If you want to be granular, you want to do both, you do both.
Yeah.
That's fine. Not every company needs to supply 100% of every business. That's a silly model to be so dependent on a person anyway. So, here we are. We've got all these different things. And these big spreaders that are out there, you got the option. You can go run your granular, you can go run your liquid, and it's great. So to answer your question about the fertilizers, I don't see much evolving there.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a change to me. I mean, at this point, it would be simplification. Like, if somebody just said, all I want is a clear liquid NPK that's a 12-12-12, great. We could put that out. Fine.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. If it was being requested, guess what's not being requested?
Yeah.
A clear liquid 12-12-12.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden everybody was calling me about it, I'm like, yeah, no problem. We'll produce it, put it in a bottle, register it, get it out to everybody who wants it. Well, I'll sell tens of gallons, I'm sure. So, but the other stuff that gets you into the more unique things, like, these smaller either micronutrient stuff or growth stimulant stuff or things that people are starting to dive into, those specialty items, that catalog can continue to grow as the need and the desire in the industry wants it.
Well, speaking of that, so you're talking industries, golf industries, ag industries, and we're the redheaded stepchild of both those, right?
I have 2 of those, by the way.
So what the question I have with that is now that there's so much options out there, because 15 years ago there was a couple guys doing specialty fertilizers or specialty liquids, we'll call it.
Sure.
Now I feel like some of the golf guys realize, the lawn guys can use this stuff too.
Oh, of course.
And now we're getting us as business owners from these companies are like, oh, well, here's another one. And the companies that I may be getting some, herbicides or some, cheap fertilizer from, now they're coming out with a whole nother brand or organic line. So for all the green industry guys that are listening, I think we've talked about this last year, is it's really hard to get the truth. Like, what are you selling?
Yeah.
I trust what you tell me because I trust you and I've gotten to know you.
Right.
But I don't know if Tom, Dick, or Harry, what they're actually telling me, because I hear a lot. You've heard it this weekend.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
People are buying 14 different fertilizers from 14 different people, and they all say they have a polymer coated, and you're going to have to water less, and it's going to reduce your disease control, and you can do it granular. Like, everyone has an option.
So this is where I think the industry gets interesting. Let me back up to the first things that you said. So again, I don't know the diversity of your group that will listen to this. I think it's going to be millions of people, by the way.
It's already millions. You didn't know that?
Yeah, the audio and the quality of this, and but basically the quality of the guest.
I have a Coke commercial coming on.
No, okay, pause. Psst, Coca-Cola. Okay, so I think that people come up with these specialty products, right? And the first thing they do is where are we gonna position this, right? And they go right out into the cornfield, first day, and it's like we're gonna break open ag. No, nah, they're not gonna do it.
Changing.
No, so you're not gonna do it. Maybe there's something that you might get in there, something, but no, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, that didn't work out very well. We were gonna go sell millions of gallons for $1 a piece. And they're like, you know where this would go really well? Golf. We're going to go sell hundreds of gallons for thousands of dollars, right? Like, it's like we're going to take the same thing and we're going to move it in golf and be like, hey, you're really going to like this. Check it out. It's $100 a gallon. They're like, yeah.
Well, for you, when I think about like golf, it's like a perfect scenario because they're on that lawn.
They are.
They're like, they live there.
Yeah, but let me put that in perspective. So we sell a lot of golf. We sell a lot. Greens and tee boxes. Love it. Like our PTN we put out there, love it. Okay. So golf course can use 12 gallons a month.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like, why? And we had this product out. It's like $15 a gallon, what it was at the time. Okay, packaged. And take it out there like, no, it's not gonna work. I mean, it's not gonna work. It's too cheap. Literally said that. I told my guy who was the superintendent at the time, and he was talking to his buddies. I said, "Tell him $35 a gallon." And then he started selling pallets of it.
Yeah.
They were like, "That's priced right."
Yeah, that's
That makes sense. So I'm like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" But in lawn care, what I love about like a company like yours, you're growing, and so your turf area keeps getting bigger.
every year.
It's every year. So it's not a fixed place. It's not a golf course. It's not 12 gallons a month that I'm sending out. You're like, hey, John, I need to get 10 gallons because I'm just getting started. Great. And you call me up like 2 months. I need 50. I'm like, and then it goes up and it goes up.
Absolutely.
Now, to think like the trust issue and the information and all that stuff.
That's the tough stuff to weed through.
So
Because everyone's going to tell you.
we have a good story though, and maybe it's not. Let me just refresh your memory, right? Like I had stuff that I was selling. I came and visited where you were working, and I said, this would be a good option for you. But you guys tried it and then said, yes. You put it out, you tested it.
Yeah.
You decide you got a value out of it and you used it. It was what I tell everybody. I'm like, you don't have to convert 1,000 acres to me today. Let me get you a 2.5 gallon jug. If you see a difference and you see value in it, the price is right, and this looks good to you, then take it. That's how we've always done it.
Yeah.
It's not a hard sell. I don't need to go in there and be like, you're using that stuff, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to do that.
Well, to your point, and I know you don't care about this, but John, we're here in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm outside of Philly.
Yeah.
For me to get a base fertilizer from you makes 0 sense.
You've got to send it all the way up there. However, once you change and you're moving into volume, it's a different ballgame.
Exactly.
So for you, you're right. And I'm like, yeah, man, when you're ready, like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're here.
Yeah.
You're still here. You've been around for years. Like, you get 10, 15 gallons of stuff. Maybe you can buy a tote. It doesn't really matter. You're not converting all of this massive acreage over, but I'm not asking for it either.
No.
No. It's not like buying loyalty.
Yeah.
Like, Chris, I'm going to tell you, if you don't buy a tote,
Yeah.
I'm never inviting you back here again.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We grow when you grow.
Yeah.
And we continue to grow as you grow. And one thing that set us apart as we did this is we treat any company the same.
Yeah.
Now, that might change as far as relationships and stuff go, because I've got obviously grown a lot of close friends over this time, and because I get to hang out with you guys. We you got to come out to the house and come.
Yeah.
I got people like that, but not everybody, right? I don't get to meet everybody. I don't have that relationship with everybody, but I do know if we treat them right and they grow, we're right there all the time with them. We just keep doing it. And I would love a guy with 50 accounts to walk in and be like, I love everything you're doing. I want to buy my granular from so-and-so over there, and I want these liquids. Okay, great. He's 200 customers, and next he's 1,000 in no time. Or he goes from 1,500 to 25,000 customers. We've seen that,
Yeah. Well, listen, to that note then, you getting in with all these companies, you've caught some heat from competitors.
Yeah.
You've caught some heat. You've lost friendships.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In this progression of Greene County Fertilizer. Totally. How has that affected how your you're continuing to sell. What I would say is, I look at Greene County, and like you said, I don't buy a ton from you. My whole program is not Greene County.
Yeah.
But I look at it when we first met in Westchester. The thing that kind of hooked me to you and some other guys, Will Trax at Cinetech, is it wasn't about explaining the products. It was explaining how we can make you money, how we can build your business.
Right.
The products are secondary. Right, you did Will Track sent me a price sheet, and he gave me all the herbicides, all the fertilizers, and broke it all the way down to per 1,000 square feet, how much it was going to cost per round.
Yeah,
and I looked at that sheet, and to this day, I still think about that sheet. And I'm like, that was like my aha moment where I was like, okay, now this all can make sense to me. You've done that with some of your tools in marketing and how you've. I think that separates you a little bit.
You know, we have those sheets. We have programs in our spiral bound books for like a multitude of different areas so that you can just be like, oh, I could plug this right in. Here it shows the pounds, the applications, the timing, everything's right there. And we've had those printed for years. Like if you want a sample program, not the Bible.
Yeah, not the Bible. Yeah.
So that's more of it. Like you can evolve your program based on performance.
Yeah.
That's really all there is to it. Like I feel like this is not a black and white, like it's this way or nothing works. It is not. It's grass, it is growing, and it's changed all the time. Like every lawn has a different characteristic, everything has a different it's just different. It's not a controlled environment. It's a lawn, not a lab, right? So we're out there just applying to get the best possible result we can. Now we need to have confidence in what we're putting down in order to get to that, right? We don't want to be wasting money. We don't want to be wasting time. We don't want to do all that stuff. It just needs to be green.
Yeah.
Right. We need to get it there, and we need to do it in a budgetary fashion and a way that it fits our business model. That's all this game is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think everyone gets too tied up. I know I did. I know how many times I've chased my own tail and gone down rabbit holes and done all these different things. I mean, for sure. Especially when you're getting started. Once you grow up, you know, and you've got a business that's moving and you're not, it's about business.
Well, I'm going into my 5th year now, and this off season has been very stressful, and not because of lawns. And it's the first year in that I can remember where I was like, I said this to my friends. I was like, sometimes I feel like I'm just winging it at all times.
Yeah, well,
like,
fake it till you make it, right?
But you look back, I'm in year 5 now. It's like, okay, was I faking it? Am I still faking it?
No, you know what?
Do you feel sometimes, be honest with me, do you feel you got this, we'll call it a mini empire of Greene County Fertilizer. You get a lot of heat from competitors. You get questions. You got YouTube. You got Long College. How do you sometimes sit on that couch in Utah and go, oh, shit, what did I get myself into?
No, I don't do that. Actually, it's a little different for me. I look at it like I really don't deserve it.
It's very similar to how I feel.
I don't deserve it. I don't. I feel like I set up to do something small, you know? I wanted to have a little business. I wanted to support my little family. I didn't. This was not in my cards whatsoever. What I got was the blessings of amazing people. That's what I got. I am not here without the team I've got. I'm not here. I don't care how good the idea is. I'm not a great executor. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I'm very self-motivated. Okay, so like if it's survival, I'm surviving.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to make it happen. And I've always been that way. Self-taught, I will make it happen. I'll do every job. I will learn everything I possibly can. I will make it happen. But it gets to a point where you can't do that. You can't. You got to trust, and you got to like throw it into somebody and let them say, hey, let me take that off your plate.
And, you know, it's twofold because it's scary at first. But then once it happens and you don't have to, Steve answers, I don't answer the phone at my business anymore. I only get phone call, or I have to call somebody if I want to talk to a customer. But that moment or that year, that first year after we did training, after he was ready to go, it was just such, now I was able to focus on other things. It was just such a good moment. But like you said, people. And, everyone talks about people, but it's so much of it is just rah, rah.
Yeah,
rah,
so
rah.
I guess I should say this too. Like I don't have this like, oh, it's all divine and there's a plan for all of us, man.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not how I feel.
Yeah.
I had a strong business plan on what that model was going to be. I knew what my numbers needed to be when I was doing BioGreen. I knew what it would take for licensees. I knew what kind of production. I had a business plan way ahead of the growth. Everything I've ever done has been planned way ahead of the growth. We've been so far ahead of the curve because I'm like, I need a plan for this because we're going to grow into it. And also running the risk, right? I'm betting way out there. I'm like, this horse is going to win. And I just keep throwing it out in the future. This place. This is a perfect example. I mean, we went from, my first space was about, say, 3,500 square feet, okay, was what I had my spray business running out of, a few trucks and trailers in there, and a couple of tanks. And I was making and filling and then shipping out totes, and I was ordering in 5-10 totes at a time, and then 1,000-gallon bottles and like stuff like that, just little filling stuff up by hand myself on a rolling chair. Rolling chair's still here. We call it the throne. It's out back. It's been with us for 20 years. So it got to the point where that was too busy for me, and I needed somebody to do that. So it moved to Nebraska, same size space. But then those guys also had a BioGreen service. Their truck was out in the back. But now I'm bringing in truckloads of totes, stacking them to the ceiling. And, I got Chad in there sleeping on the couch. We put a little loft in there, trying to mix in product all night.
And he was spraying too, right? Because he had the spray. He was still spraying.
He was still spraying. He still had that business. He still all this stuff. So, and he's still here. He's still doing the same. He just doesn't have to sleep here anymore. He's got a much nicer sleeping arrangement. But he would crank stuff out. I'd be like, dude, I got a truckload. It's got to go to Florida. He's like, okay, and he would just mix and churn stuff out like literally overnight. I was like, okay, we'll get out on the road, but. We busted out of the seams in that place in no time. So it was always.
So I guess that was almost a learning curve. You're like, oh, I gotta
think bigger.
I gotta think bigger, and I gotta be ahead of it.
So, but I didn't quite get it yet. I still didn't get it. And I was coming down here to Georgia from about 2009, around at that time. And I was working with some guys down here and doing some forage stuff and food plots and things like that. And I just liked the town. A buddy of mine he's not with us anymore. He had a property back here. We would stay at his house. Beautiful. It's this lovely place in the middle of the forest. And I was like, this is a great spot. And we had a meeting about it. It was in 2013, maybe 2012. God, yeah, 2012 first. Went and looked at some ag land, looked at some potential building in Nebraska and all that kind of stuff because I needed Chad. I'm like, Chad.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of Chad.
No.
Chad's going to be with us.
When you get that guy.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you want? How much do you want?
Yeah. So, okay. We had a winter that was just rough. And he's like, we can't stay here. We got to get out of the state. I'm like, sweet. This opens the door. Well, let's go check out Georgia. So Brad comes up from Florida. He was living there at a time. We just started looking at buildings around here. Now, the space that we're in right now was 2 buildings, 13 acres. This one that's just off the corner over here was part of this. Mm-hmm. And we looked at it, and I'm like, we're never going to need that thing. Yeah. And the guy was like, I'll subdivide it for you if you just want to buy it. I was like, that's great. But just in case, I want first right of refusal on that other building, another 20,000 square feet. He's like, okay. And so we buy the place, and we move 4 or 5 semis worth of equipment and materials and things down here, put it in there. And it was like at the very far end of a deep, dark tunnel. Everything was fitting into this little teeny tiny corner way back in the back. I was like, Did I make a mistake? And then everything was wrong with this place. The power wasn't right. There were fires. Everything was a disaster.
Yeah, they stole all the copper out of here.
So it was awful. I mean, we got the building for a song, and then we spent more on electrical than we did on this whole property. So it was like all this stuff has had to go on. But then we're like, we're going to need that building. And then we saw people moving into it next door. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry.
First rate.
It didn't happen.
Second, third.
Like, now we'll never get that place. So now we've added on to the space and keep putting more roof on this place and just keep going and going. And like, when do we run out of space again?
Yeah. I'm at my shop now, and that's where I'm at now. I was like, do me and Steve just invest the land and build a big ass pole barn and just go from there, or I don't know.
Okay. All right. I was just riding with our good friend, coming back here, and I said, at one point I looked at a house over here. It's a beautiful, like antebellum home.
There's so many of them with the acres that you want. Yeah.
And I was like, let's just buy that, 10 years ago. And I'm like, that's stupid. Don't get a house in this town. And I'm like, you know what? I said, man, if you ever look at a piece of property and say, I really should buy that, yeah, you should buy it.
Yeah.
There's never been a time. Like, it's just gone so far the backwards way. Yeah. If you can sit and hang on to it, it's like, just do it, man. Take the plunge. That's a little sidetrack from the rest of this green industry crap.
Yeah, there's a lot of green industry stuff going on. No. Cool. Last thing is, where do you see this going? Like what you always ask us as lawn care, hey, where do you plan to sell it? Do you plan to? Where do you want to go? Can you sell it? You could sell it to some.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with a lot of interest.
Yeah.
A lot of people with a lot of interest. But so I'm 44 years old. Okay, in order for me to sell and never have to work again, this business needs to be worth like a lot.
Yeah,
like a lot. In order for me to, because that's how I want my life to go. Right. I don't want to be one of those guys that like hits the small part of the lottery and is like, I quit everything and then they're broke in a year. Like that's not how this works for me. This is a play. It's got to get me through. It's got to take care of my life for a long time. So I know my kids want nothing to do with it. They're never going to have anything to do with it. So it's not a generational business. I've already got teams running the place. I live far away from it. I don't have to be here. I don't have to do this stuff. They're doing everything they need to do. We have the ability to let it be like that. Like I don't have to sell it. The thing is, like anything else, this is an asset. It's an asset that's been
100%.
building value over time. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, if a right person comes along and they're like, you know what, I think we're a fit, then of course, Brad, he has these great sayings,
super
sayings. And one of him is, he said, if it's not about the money, it's the amount.
It's the truth.
It's
the truth.
But it has to be that
same
way.
thing I look at Lawn and Pest now is, as I see it growing these last 4 years, I'm looking at like, man, this is growing way faster than anything else I would have really invested in per se.
You got that right.
It's
rate of return is insane.
And that's how I'm looking at it now.
The way to do it.
It's like, wow, okay. Well, if I do that 6 years in a row, and I do that 6 more years in a row,
compounding.
I'm like,
So there's always this time it was like referred to as like the golden age of acquisitions and all this kind of. It wasn't that long ago when Scotts was growing and buying everybody up, and then there was this high competition in the space with True Green buying it, with Scotts buying. Everybody's buying everybody up, just crazy.
yeah.
I remember a couple of guys I talked to. They said, "Yeah, we did 21 close. We closed 21 businesses in one day." One day, they were just millions of dollars.
And that was the buying of the True Green. They wasn't that there.
That was when Scotts was buying everybody.
Well, yeah, Scott's Lawn Care.
Yeah, Scott's Lawn Care before they sold to True Green. So we're talking about like what? I don't know when that was. Really, early 2000s, maybe.
I was there. I was with Scott's. I think right around the crash. So 06, 04, 05, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So. That was insane, and people were selling business. And we know, you and I personally know, I don't know what, maybe 50 guys, maybe more, that have bought or not bought, but have built and sold 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
in their
they're
careers.
on their third.
Yeah, they're on their third, and they know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So the first one is the baby. Once you do it, and you're like, so for you, for instance, let's say, you know what, I'm just going to go for sale on this first one. I'm just doing it.
See, and that's a mistake. I would call it a mistake. Stout Lawn Care, like
it's because we changed the spelling.
Yeah, we changed the spelling. That's why it's not. But now that I think about it, and when you have all these bright dreams, and now I'm going to be a business owner. This is going to be so much fun. It's going to be great. I'm going to have so much great relationships with my customers. And someone was talking about earlier today. It's like I'm getting to the point where I don't want the customers to know my name anymore.
That'll happen.
And it's happening.
Yeah,
like it's happened over the last couple months, but that's now I'm thinking back. Man, should I just call it a BioGreen 2
right.
V2, and then I would have less emotional connection to it because I still have. Every year my emotional connection to my family run business is less and less.
Okay, so I knew that this would happen. This is why I said to you in the beginning, take the D out.
Yeah.
When we can make jokes about that.
Yep.
But Stout's a great name, and it's your name, but it's not your name.
It's not my name.
It's not your name, and nobody's going to equate that. Oh, your name is Chris Stout, like your business? No, it's actually with a D.
Yeah.
Stouted?
Stouted. Yeah.
Stouted?
Stout.
Yeah, so you made a cool tactical decision, so it doesn't matter. So you can get it out of your head. It sounds like your name, but it's not your name.
Yeah, and I think because I did it in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of customers that went to high school with me, so they know the Stout name. But
They won't be there
the
forever.
person 2 counties away doesn't
they
know
don't care.
Stout from Stout.
No, they're just
know?
like, I like the sound. That's strong.
That's strong.
That's good. Good German name.
It was a little teapot. Yeah, I heard
you're
that all my whole life.
Oh, I love it.
It was.
I'm
it was
going to
rough.
refer to you as that now. Where's
I'm
your
a
spout?
little teapot. Short.
He's whistling all the time.
What else? I don't. Let me. I had one note in here. I
It
want to
must have
make
been
sure.
a good one if you wrote it down.
Yeah. Nobody wants to work. We went over that.
Yeah.
Snake oil. We kind of went over that. Your competition, trashing you, and then you coming out looking like roses. I love that. For people that don't know this story, some asshole on a Facebook group said that John's stuff was snake oil.
Yeah. It was great because he actually changed the logo and wrote it in our logo.
It was
Yeah.
listen. It was time well spent.
It was perfect.
Time well spent.
Loved it.
And when that jumped off, I think I called you a couple days later. I was like, "What are you gonna do?" And you're like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
I'm gonna send him because he really he didn't think it through.
Not even close.
Because all that did is drive traffic to your
it did, and that's
website.
happened so many times. I'm like, do these guys even realize? Like, they have not come to the realization that they are promoting us. They're not deterring. They're like, because nobody knows who we are. They just think it's this big, evil, faceless corporation.
And now they have 168 comments on it.
Yeah.
And now everyone knows.
Yeah, now everybody's going to come check it out. Like, well, they look like there's some good stuff, and their price is really good.
This guy's hating on this company.
Yeah.
Let's go talk to
Let's
them.
go see what it's all about. And we pick up customers. Every time somebody goes on a rant about why, and you don't know your audience enough. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to sit with your buddies and go like on a rant about something because they're like, well, that's cool. I don't really care. But you go into a public forum and start doing that, it brings attention.
Well, you're different too because you are a public forum person. Like a lot of these companies don't have a John Perry.
And I don't respond to these guys.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing like don't punch down.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever it is. You're like, why? Because if I do, right? And that's what these guys try to keep like pulling me out. Like they pull it out. It's like an idea. Like, oh, this is gonna really piss him off. I'm like, no.
Oh.
Sales keep going up. Keep doing it. Like,
Yeah.
don't stop. Just spell my PT Barnum, right? Just make sure you spell my name right. Just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. And that what I know, and I know of a few people, and it's nobody who you know. It's not related to anything else. Who would intentionally pester people, intentionally, because they wanted to get that person to say their name. Mm-hmm. That's what all they're trying to do is just nick away at you until you're like, this guy so and so, got him, winning. You know, and it's like it's not
how it works.
It's just dumb.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Never
not.
gonna-
I think it's fun if like, you know, if it was like you and me, right? We know each other. We're sitting in this booth here, and we just make this plan. I'm like, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. You're just gonna start hating on me, and I'm gonna start hating on you, and we're gonna do this for a while. We're gonna promote each other in this feud in a public forum until it grows into this massive snowball. And then we're going to come together at some point and say,
gotcha.
yeah, you know, like, hey, man, you're actually a good dude. I'm glad that we went through this together. And then everybody will, oh, I love it. I have victory, you know?
It's not a bad idea.
I just keep thinking that's actually going to happen in my life. They're going to call me and like, hey, I'm really sorry about this. You know, like, I don't care.
Well, listen, I don't know what people got out of this. I don't think much.
You know what? This is going to be the most listened to one you've ever had.
Well,
How have you done? 3? 5?
3?
10?
You'll be
15?
episode 10.
So 10. Okay.
10.
I don't know. I'm not, you know, I don't know. How do you label them? Is this episode 10?
Yeah,
You just put
episode
the
10.
person's name. I just see the name. I don't.
Episode 10.
Okay.
Episode 10.
You're crushing it, bro.
Well, it's like it was. I was like I said, I was not feeling stout lawn care, and I wanted to do something else to keep me a little bit busy and a little bit more.
This is good brain food.
It is.
It is. I like what you're doing.
it just gives me a chance to kind of talk to people like you. But like I said, I talked to a plumber, a fence guy.
Yeah,
and they're
businesses.
like, the mentality is when you find somebody with the same mentality, the conversation is great. That's why I can't wait to have Luke on. I think he's going to be like, his story is
It's a great story.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And our stories are very similar, me and Luke's. And it's
Right.
like, it's a fun way to burn an hour and enjoy someone's company and maybe
Love
learn
it.
something.
So, you wanting to put a bow on this?
Yeah, let's put a bow
let's
on
put
it.
a bow on it. Let's see if this is the best thing that I can offer. Okay, and it kind of pulls in everything that you've asked me so far. Businesses like this are relationally driven, right? If you have a good sales rep, and you like them, it's like anything else. You want to support them. You're getting what you need. They're getting what they need. You don't have to jump around for all this stuff. But then there's also this smart business guy who knows at some point they are just a sales rep. And they're in it to make money too.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not be doing everything to match or do things like this. There's plenty of stories like that. So it's always smart to check and then say, hey, Jake or whoever your name is, we've been buying this stuff. It's this much over here. Can you price this? Because this is important to me. And in an effort to depersonalize your business, you have to be that guy, right? You have to be okay with it and say, this is going to make the most sense. This is 2, 3, 4%, and you can't feel bad. Because he could have done it all the time.
It's very hard to separate once you do have an established relationship. Do I, like, when I have a relationship with you, do I want to buy products from you? I had this feeling inside me. Yes, I want to because I like you. But what's best for my business?
Bingo. We got to go there first.
Have to.
Because look, we could be in completely different industries, right? Like you and I could have met at a conference for something else.
Window washers.
Window washing. No, something unrelated completely. We don't cross. You hang out, we talk, and we're like, we find some similar passions. We become friends, right? So then we're just friends.
Yep.
So that's going to happen. That doesn't happen with everybody.
No.
It doesn't. I got a lot of people I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't need to be friends with them. It's not I don't like them. I don't need that. I don't need that. Like I've got a good core.
Yeah.
And so it's different. It's more like I don't really sell. I really don't.
No.
I mean, like there's certain things that I'm working on that are completely out of the range of all of these things that require me to be involved in it, right? But I'm not picking up the phone. I'm not calling my local lawn care companies. That's not my job, right? It's everything has changed. So I feel like with all of this, all these guys in businesses, any business out there whatsoever, it's great to have some friends, but you got to be able to fire them if they're actually people that you're getting that your business relies on.
And it comes down to the worst is when you find out that guy, like you said, that guy really didn't have your best interest, and you find a product or a service or something that's
half the price,
and you're like, man, did you know that? Like, did you sell me that, and you knew that I can go on Chemical Warehouse and buy it for half price?
Okay, so this is now for any sales rep who might listen to this because they want to find out more about me. I'm going to tell you something right now. We publish our prices. We put them out there. Everyone can see them and know exactly where they stand. I have plenty of customers who, they say, well, what's your price on this? Like, say the nitrogen 2800. Here's what it is. And they go, okay, great. I've been buying it from this person for so long. I go to them and say, I can get it from them. And they say, oh, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, why didn't you do it before?
Yeah.
I didn't have to ask that.
It's the whole pre-order game too.
Yeah,
which is so grimy. I feel like I'm selling. I'm a part of an insurance scam.
I don't like any of it.
And it's like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And
here's your discounts. Here's your rebates. No, just give me a low price.
No, just stop dicking me around.
Yeah.
And tell me what your price is.
That's it.
And then I'm gonna just give me a piece of paper, and then I'm gonna go to the next guy and tell me what your price is.
Transparency is important, man.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I don't like those kind of. It's just clear. Like here's the price. Yeah. Right? Like this is it. I'm like, can you do something on that? I'm like, well, yeah. If your volume goes up, it goes to that right there.
Well, it's
right,
like
the column next to it.
Our customers, that's like, oh, you want lawn care? I don't know what your price is yet. have you asked any other companies if you want lawn care? Well, how about you go get the price from True Green,
Yeah.
and then call us back.
Yeah.
And then we'll either match it, and if we don't want your business,
we won't match
we
it.
won't match it.
But which way are you matching it? Because that's the other thing. It's like, well, we were only going to be like 40, and they were 90. We're going up to 90.
Yeah, we're not 40 anymore.
Yeah.
We're gonna charge you 65.
Oh, you want us to match it?
We're gonna
You got
knock $16 off for you.
I've had that conversation. It's like, well, if that's more expensive, we can match it, right? No. Well, why not?
Yeah.
And doesn't it work both ways? I'll charge you as much as they do. So anyway, look, again, here's all we do. This is all we're going to do. We're going to provide the products you need and are asking for, and nothing more. Okay? We're not going to try to sell you the moon. That's not the way that things go. We're going to be a part of your program, not the whole program, unless you want it to be.
Yep.
We're going to be a partner with you growing. That's it.
Grow with
we
us.
grow grass, you grow your business.
Love it.
Done.
Love it.
So-
All right, how can they get a hold of you if they want to talk to you about green grass made easy?
Yeah, green grass. Well, you can go to Greene County Fert, first of all. That's
Okay.
like the easiest place to check out what we're doing. So greencountyfert.com. And then if you want to get a hold of me directly, Answers at Lawncology. If you want to just send something to me, you can come through that way. You can find me on YouTube at Lawncology. You can join
Find us
along and have
everywhere.
some fun. Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thanks for inviting us out here for this couple days at Lawncology. I don't really call this a network. I don't really call it like a conference.
It's a peer group.
It's a peer group.
Yeah, I love it.
Me and a couple other guys we're thinking about putting something together as a type of peer group. So
I am too.
It'll be
I
fun.
said that today. I said, that's something I've really been considering a lot because I love growing the business.
and I love that you're not going to charge me for it, right?
Thousands and thousands,
Thousands of
dollars.
dollars.
Yeah. Every time I see you, it's like,
Yeah. You want to be? Do I get a card? Like,
Yeah.
Do I get
it's like a steel card.
Yeah.
Like
They give
punched
you.
out like die cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll pay $1,000 for that.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. I appreciate it, John. Thanks for having me in your humble abode.
Hey man, I
Here.
appreciate you carrying all this huge audio equipment around
Yeah, it
and
was
coming
nuts.
and sitting in whoever's office this is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Awesome, John. Thanks.